If you've ever taken any college course, you know that reading through and taking notes on all of this material can be pretty darn daunting, let alone to do it again at finals time. What you need is an efficient way to take your notes that'll make studying way easier in the future. And in today's video, I'm going to show you just how to do that. I remember in graduate school, we would have textbooks way bigger than this, and our professors would assign to us 2 or 3 chapters that were 30 pages each every night. That's a lot of information to digest, and it's a lot of information to scour through to find what you really need. I started out graduate school by reading this textbook just as it is. I tried to take notes by literally writing out sentences of information, but that wasn't helpful. So I used this strategy, and it helped me immensely to get through everything and to be able to reuse it over and over and over again to my advantage. And the really nice thing about this strategy is that once you have it set up for yourself, you can take it on the go with you anywhere. Hey guys, please ignore the scenery change and the wardrobe change. As you can tell, it's a different day. I thought it would be a good idea to just kind of pop in here so I can give you my little tips as I go. So the first thing you're going to need is your textbook. I grabbed Pedretti's Practice Skills for Physical Dysfunction book, but whatever book you have. Second, you need an Excel spreadsheet or one of the Google Sheets pages. So if you have Microsoft Office, go ahead and open an Excel sheet. If you don't, just go ahead and open up a new Google Sheet within the Google Drive. And then third, you are going to need a Quizlet account. I'll show you how to do that, but what you'll need to have pulled up are those 3 items. My preference at the beginning of graduate school was to write out my notes, and I still do believe that there's a connection between handwriting things and retaining the information. However, what I have found with getting through the material you need to for graduate school and also for the NBCOT exam, you just don't have the time really to sit and handwrite every note. So this is the method that I used. It's electronic, both for the taking of the notes and then later on for reviewing. Although it may not be your favorite way of taking notes, I promise you it's gonna make things so much easier for you in the long run. Let's get started here. As you can see, I have the Pedretti book pulled up. This is just my electronic copy. And then I have here on the right-hand side, just a blank Excel spreadsheet pulled up. So let's go ahead and we're gonna scroll down and just pick a chapter. We'll go to chapter 4. So what we're gonna do is, as you're reading through the material, I want you to think about what information sticks out to you. So this is gonna be pretty much right in line with how you would have taken notes prior to using this method. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take that information and type it into Excel in a question and answer, if that makes sense. So what you're going to do when you're going through and doing your reading is you're going to kind of make note of the things that are important that you can pull out of a paragraph or of a section. So a lot of times, as we all know, you're going to find bolded words that are important for you to know. So they're going to be things that you need to know and use in the future. That's kind of a dead giveaway. Other things you might want to take note of are things like lists. So here you can see it talks about the 3 major research design traditions. So that might be something good to highlight so that you can come back to later. I'm assuming that they'll probably go into those later on in the chapter, but for right now, and for the sake of this video, we're just going to go through this paragraph as an example, something easy, and we're going to take a look at these bolded words here. So the first one says inductive reasoning is a thinking process in which a person begins with seemingly unrelated data and then links these data by discovering relationships and principles within the data set. Okay, I'm going to highlight that because it sticks out to me as something important. And then we're going to next grab this bulleted word. So we're going to grab that and give it a highlight as well. And then lastly, we're going to do deductive reasoning. Once I have my main points highlighted in the section that I'm working on, I want to turn those main points into a form that can be used as sort of a question answer or a fill in the blank or a true or false type of question. Because essentially, you're turning these into flashcards. How I set that up for myself is in column A here, this is where I put my answers, and then column B is where I write my questions. So we'll take the first piece of information here. So the answer we know, as it's bolded there, is inductive reasoning. So I'm just going to put that in my answer column. And then I'm going to formulate a question. So what it tells me here is that the definition of inductive reasoning is a thinking process in which a person begins with seemingly unrelated data and then links these data by discovering relationships and principles within the data set. I'm just going to copy and paste that. However, it's going to be important for you to kind of digest that information and put it into your own words as best as possible. For the sake of the video, I'm going to put blank, blank, and really you could even say inductive as your answer, and you could type and sometimes I like to capitalize the sort of question word. So here it's this. You could also put what type of reasoning, and at the end make it more of a question for yourself. So we'll move on to the second point here, which is abductive reasoning. We can sort of use the same pattern as we did for the first question to make them kind of fit together well. My answer is going to be abductive. And again, I'm going to type again, another paraphrase. Finally, we'll finish with deductive reasoning. And for the fill in the blanks, that's going to just be deductive reasoning. So now that we have our question and answer set up, we are gonna go to Quizlet. And you can actually do this on your phone. So there is a Quizlet app. However, I find that it's easier to actually input the information on the computer and then later use Quizlet to study and review via the app on your phone. And as you can see, I'm already signed in. I only have the free version. You actually don't need any more than the free version to use it the way we're going to use it. But I think that the premium version includes certain things that you can input. But the way we're going to use it for the sake of this video is we are going to click create here, and it's going to ask you for a title and for a description. So we're going to do Quizlet chapter 4. What you're going to do now to import what you've set up for yourself in Excel is you're going to click this button here, import from Word, Excel, Google Docs, etc. I'm going to click on that. And now all you have to do is copy paste. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy your list. You'll put it in here. So what it's asking for here is how it's gonna separate and understand what part of what you typed is your question and what part is your answer. What I like to do here is do custom, and I like to use a hyphen. So then I go through and I put hyphens between my terms and my questions, just like that. I'm going to leave this as is because as it goes down a line, it will create a new card, and that's what I want it to do. And as long as everything is good, you're going to click import. So here's your set. With this, you can make any changes you want. You can add more terms if you need to. You can delete some if you need to. So now that I have everything the way I want it, I'm going to click create. And there we have it. Here's what my flashcards look like. You've got your options here at the bottom. This will also show up in the app, but I'm just going to kind of talk through them here. You've got flashcards, which is nice. You've also got the learn feature is super nice. So the flashcard feature you can see right here in front of you, and what it does is it puts a term on one side, the definition on the other. So if we click on it, it will give us our question or the definition. And if you click on it again, it'll give you the term or the answer. You can use these arrows to click through them, and that's how flashcards works. Now for learn, the learn feature is really nice because it actually will give you these questions in a multiple choice format. So I like to make my settings. The only thing I don't like to do is written questions because you have to type exactly what you typed in the first time, and if you don't, or even if you make a typo, it'll count it as wrong. So I just don't like to include those. Now you can go through. We already know the answer to this one is inductive, so we'll go ahead and click inductive. It says that we're correct, and it's going to keep giving you these questions until you've mastered every term 2 times. So it really, really helps with repetition and making sure that you really know the answer well. And that's how you put it into Quizlet. It's got another couple features down here, match and gravity. These are games that you can play. You can also test yourself if you'd like. It looks just like learn, but instead of being like repetitious, it simply gives you a test, you fill it out, and it grades you. And that's pretty much it. That's basically how I ended up getting through grad school. I want to know how you guys have been taking your notes. Do you have any specific tips? And if you give this method a try, let me know in the comments how it works for you. Also, if you're confused on anything or you have any questions additionally as to how this method works, just leave it down below because I always try to answer all the questions and I try to respond to all of the comments. Now, if you're looking for a way to set up your study plan, go ahead and check out my last video where I talk about exactly how I studied in 6 weeks for the NBCOT exam. And you're definitely not going to want to miss my next video where I break down step by step exactly how to read and approach every NBCOT question. If you're not subscribed already, go ahead and click the red button down below to follow along with me for additional study tips and OT related content.